So we weren't exactly quick to do this review, Sophia. But on the upside, we have had plenty of time to think about it, right?
Yep.
And there was at least one person in the comments that had been asking for a while, like, when was I going to do the review of the Entertainment District arc? And I was pretty adamant that I wanted to wait until I could talk to you about this one. So, we waited a little while, but now the time has arrived and we're going to talk about it, right?
Uh-huh.
And I say we just start with it. Just quick overview. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I really liked it. It definitely lived up to the first season.
Yeah, that was going to be my first question. You feel like it lived up to the first season. Did it live up to your expectations after Mugen Train?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good follow-up, actually.
Okay. Well, early on, like in the beginning of the first episode, we get our first kind of twist that I wasn't expecting. And that's when we find out that Muzan is like living as this little foster child, like this little boy in a family's house. What did you think about that kind of like twist in the beginning of the whole thing?
That was pretty interesting. I was not expecting it at all.
And I kind of thought that maybe it was going to be more important to the plot of this arc, but it seems like they didn't really do a whole lot with that. So maybe that's going to come back in the future and be a little more important.
I hope they go more into it, flesh it out some.
Me too. But it was something that I wasn't expecting to happen. It helps explain some of the ways, though, that Muzan can hide from people and how he can hide in plain sight almost. But then picking up pretty much where Mugen Train left off, Tanjiro goes to meet Rengoku's family, specifically his brother and his father, because Rengoku's mother's been dead for a while. What did you think about this whole little sub-story?
It was a good story, but I'm not gonna lie, it made me so upset. I was so mad at Rengoku's dad.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Now, what specifically about Rengoku's dad made you the most upset?
Just how he didn't respect Rengoku, like, at all. I don't know, I just hated him so much.
And I don't know, do you think it's true that he didn't respect him, or he's just, like, trying to bury his pain? I mean, he does eventually start to grieve and admit that he feels differently than he says.
I mean, I don't know. I think he's just trying to not feel it, but it's still really rude to not acknowledge him.
Yes,
you know?
It is his son. And then we also find out that like Rengoku's father wasn't really involved in training Rengoku, that he only had like 3 books and he had to learn it on his own. But then there's also this family history of Flame Hashira in the Rengoku family. And now with Rengoku gone, it doesn't look like they're going to continue that tradition unless the brother really comes a long way in a short time, because Rengoku's brother can't even get his sword to change color when he wields it.
Yeah, it would be cool to see his brother beat the odds, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I kind of wonder if we're going to even see them again in the future. It's hard to say. But what really caught my attention here is like the underlying lore, like the deeper parts of this story keep unfolding a little bit with each arc and with each entry that we get. But here we have a former Flame Hashira, Rengoku's father. He notices those earrings that Tanjiro's father gave him. And he talks about sun breathing. And, in the first season, they talked about the difference between flame and fire, or flame and sun. So here we do learn more about what sun breathing is from Rengoku's father. And he actually thinks that Tanjiro is there to taunt him or to like flex on him, because the sun breathing is like the highest, most elevated breathing technique, right? Total concentration breathing technique, or it's like the one from which all the other ones are derived. So he's really bitter because he thinks the guy's just there showing off.
I think the whole sun breathing thing is really interesting, and it's actually one of the things that keeps me coming back to this anime, is because it's really cool and I want to know the lore behind it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of the more interesting things to me too, and I just wonder exactly how involved the whole Komodo family is with the sun god. And then without any introduction, without any explanation, we just run into Tengen Uzui at the Butterfly Mansion. And it looks like he's kidnapping little girls, basically. I mean, it looks pretty bad. I think one of the little girls is even pounding him, saying, "Pervert, pervert," as she pounds on him.
He like smacks her on the butt, doesn't he?
It is bad. Tengen does not look good at all in his debut here when he's kidnapping girls in the Butterfly Mansion. And of course, Tanjiro shows up and they all try to fight or to save the little girls, and they find out he's a Hashira. And they come up with an understanding that he'll leave the girls in the Butterfly Mansion alone, and in exchange, the primary trio, Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Tanjiro, are going to help him on this mission in the Entertainment District.
Well, this is probably one of the best things I've ever seen in anime. I'm not gonna
Really?
lie.
The whole thing with him kidnapping the kids and everything?
Not just that, but like the whole plan behind what they're gonna do.
And,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So what do you think of Uzui overall? Like, let's start off with your first impressions here at the Butterfly Mansion, and then we can kind of go into how you got to know him better as this arc unfolded, because all I knew of him from before was just that he said flashy a lot when he was in with the other
Yeah.
Hashira in season 1. Honestly, I didn't think I would like him very much. I had negative feelings about this character going into this arc.
Yeah, at first I didn't really like him. He seemed super arrogant and not a great person, but I think he got better as we actually learned who he was. But first impression, he's not a great guy.
I mean, especially kidnapping the kids.
I know.
And then we also find out that he has 3 wives,
Mhm.
which doesn't seem fair at all since Zenitsu has no wives at all. Like, how come Zenitsu has 0 wives and Uzui gets 3 wives?
That's simply because Zenitsu has no game.
And they do say something about, like, you know, he's a shinobu, or a shinobi, that's it.
Shinobi.
Shinobu's a different character. He's a shinobi, a ninja clan, even though they're not supposed to exist since the Edo era. But part of the ritual there is that they each have 3 wives.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, where are they getting all these women from? Like, how do they have enough women for every shinobi to have 3 wives?
Well,
Are all the men getting killed in action, so they're, like, not very many of them?
I imagine if each man has 3 wives, and each of those 3 wives has a son and a daughter, that's like a lot. That's a lot of women, right?
Yeah, but there's also a lot of sons.
Well, maybe they all die. I thought though that didn't the women, aren't they also ninjas? Don't they also fight?
I don't know. I have no idea,
I'm
like,
fairly
how this
certain
works
they're
out.
also shinobis.
Like, I feel like the mathematics are going to fall apart at some point. Like, there just can't be enough.
maybe shinobi women give birth to 3 girls.
One boy, that's how it
One
works.
boy.
They all come out in packages of 4. And it does drive Zenitsu crazy, because he can't stand the idea that anybody besides him has access to a girl, can he?
Also, isn't the whole crew surprised that he has any wives at all? Uzui?
Really? I don't
thought
remember.
I thought they were surprised that he has 3 wives.
Well, I mean, the whole idea is he's going to rescue his wives. You know, he
Yeah,
sent them
I guess.
undercover. But the most joyful, most fun moment, my favorite image from the whole show is when we do get to see the 3 boys dressed up as girls so they can infiltrate the entertainment houses, the brothels.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it makes me so happy. Like this is an old joke. This is like a 1980s joke. You know, men dressed as women, haha, funny, Mrs. Doubtfire, Tootsie. But it still just seems so funny, particularly with these 3 guys and knowing what they're up for. And they didn't know what they were getting into when they volunteered to take the place of the girls. And I just love it, especially Inosuke. I mean, it's hilarious.
Yeah. And I just love how Zenitsu turned out to be like the ugliest of the 3.
He takes it personally too. Like,
Yeah.
like he makes it his goal to be the best girl of them all. And it turns out he has like this gift. And I think it makes sense because he has like that extra sense of hearing or whatever. But he like turns out to have this gift for playing this guitar thing. It's called a shamisen. It's not really a guitar, but it looks like a guitar to me. And he rocks it out with the lightning and the electricity because he's
Yeah.
got like that electricity lightning breathing technique. Oh man, I love it when he breaks down the music. What did you think about that?
I thought it was really cool, and it shows how much he wants to be the best girl,
Yes.
no matter how ugly he is.
He's out to prove a point that he can be the best geisha girl in the whole place.
By playing shamisen.
And he rocks it out too. I mean,
Oh
he
my
is
gosh,
really
yeah.
good at it. People come from miles around to hear the ugly girl play the shamisen. And then we're not too far into the series when we first meet Daki. Daki is the villain of this arc. She is an upper 6 demon. And one cool thing about her is that she has these sashes that are kind of sentient that she uses as weapons. Like these sashes that she calls obi. And they kind of come off of her. I guess they're made out of silk, but they cut as sharp as a sword. And they seem to be super strong. And that is really what she not only uses to fight with, but she can absorb people into them also.
I think it's a really interesting way to make her combat, because it really goes well with how the swords, especially Tanjiro, how his is real flowy and stuff, and these sashes are also flowy, so it's really cool to see their fights.
Any other thoughts on Daki, like first impressions?
I mean, I didn't like her, but she's a villain, so.
I think that there's a lot of cool stuff that comes out with her as the show goes on. We do find out that she's killed 7 Hashira, so that means she's no, like, small endeavor. She's not somebody to be taken lightly if she's actually killed 7 Hashira. Of course, that's probably 7 Hashira over a few hundred years, like not all this week. But that's pretty intimidating to hear that she's done that.
Yeah, especially when Tanjiro barely beat a lower 6, huh?
Yes. But we also find out that there's more to her than we suspected, because I'm watching, I'm wondering, like, am I missing something? Like, yes, she's powerful, but I've also seen these Hashira fight some pretty potent demons. So I knew that there had to be a little bit more to her power, which we do find out as the show unwinds. What did you think about the muscle mice?
Oh, they were so funny.
Like, with no explanation, these ninja mice, I think they call them ninju mice or something, these muscle mice just show up. And I guess by the way they're dressed, they must work for Tengen Uzui, right?
Yeah, they've got his weird flashy headband thing.
Yeah, it's his shinobi thing. It's ninja headband. It's his
gosh.
Naruto headband. And I think, though, they might have been my second or third favorite thing in the show. I mean, there's a whole lot of good stuff in this arc, but I love the muscle mice. I wouldn't mind if the muscle mice got their own spin-off show.
Oh my gosh,
like 12 episodes a year of muscle mice adventures.
Honestly, I feel like this arc has been the funniest that we've seen.
And of course, Tanjiro has broken a sword. He's lost a sword. And he starts to find out here that part of why his swords are getting damaged is that he isn't using his natural style. Like, he's trying to force a style that doesn't fit his sword onto his sword. He's been trying this water breathing technique. So now he realizes, as he's had some insight, part of it from Rengoku's father, part of it from the swordsmith, but he realizes he needs to rely more on his natural style, which he got from his father and with those earrings, and that's the Hinokami Kagura.
Mm-hmm. I really like getting to watch his Hinokami Kagura develop more, because he's only used it a handful of times, and it's really cool to see him learn how to control it while he's fighting at the same time, you know?
Do you still have your Hinokami earrings?
I do. I have
should
them
have
in
worn
my
those.
room.
But he does start using the Hinokami Kagura with Daki, and it starts working really well for him. But like everything, there's got to be a weakness. There's got to be a drawback. You know, it can't be OP. So he gets very exhausted from using this technique. So that's the problem, is when he uses it, it's got to be like a burst. And then he has to use, I think it's called rehabilitation breathing for a little bit to get his energy and his power back. So it's not sustainable, and that's the downside to it.
Yes, but that is how they keep him from being too overpowered.
And then also, as the show unfolds, he's going to find ways to deal with that too, by kind of blending his styles, which I think is cool, because it starts to be sort of like video game strategy there, where you got to use this until you get to the key point, and then you use that. Oh, something else I had no idea about that I learned in the Entertainment District arc, but apparently Inosuke can, like, take all of his bones out of the joints and slither like a worm, like through holes
so
in the ground.
weird.
I loved it. He looks so weird, though, just slithering like a worm through all the tunnels, the burrows.
It's so weird, but I feel like it fits him, you know?
He's a wild man. He's a beast. He was raised by kayaks. What are you going to say?
How do you think he discovered that, though?
I guess a little bit at a time. He started in a hole that was not that small, and he just kept going smaller and smaller to see what he could get to. But Tanjiro, the battle's not going so well against Daki. He gets exhausted. He's down. It looks like he's out of the picture, like he's going to bite the dust. And then suddenly Nezuko shows up, and she has this really cool power-up. Now, this might have been my favorite moment in this whole arc. I loved it when Nezuko popped up, and she suddenly got the demon horn. She's showing her full, what looks to me like her full, unlimited power coming out. And they even say that she's as powerful as an upper 6. Like, this makes me understand a little bit more about, like, why Muzan, maybe not just being afraid of the Hinokami Kagura and the sun breathing and Tanjiro, but he might be afraid Nezuko is more powerful than Muzan is.
I love Nezuko so much.
Me too.
I'm so
I love
happy
it.
for her.
And when she came out like that and saved the day, and she's just kicking everybody's butt, I loved it. But once again, there's always got to be that drawback, right? There's always got to be something to govern it so that it's not too OP. And of course, when she uses all of her power, the drawback there, the unfortunate side effect is that she loses control and she loses touch with her humanity by letting too much of the demon come out. What do you think about that up and down of the whole thing? Oh, I also like the way she just bit through her muzzle.
Oh my gosh.
Like she didn't even take it off. She just bit through it.
I think it's a nice balance. It keeps her, once again, from being too overpowered. But it's also cool to see how Nezuko and Tanjiro's bond is able to keep her sane, I guess, keep her from going like crazy and losing control. So that's a nice touch.
And during that whole battle with Nezuko being powered up, and with Tanjiro trying to get Nezuko out of, back under control. It looks like Daki has been decapitated, and then we get another big reveal. Because out of like the stump of Daki's decapitated neck, this other demon grows that we find out is her brother named Gyutaro. Or Gyutaro. I say it like Gyutaro, and people make fun of me because it sounds like guitar. But it turns out that the upper six is a pair. It's a brother-sister pair. What did you think about that reveal? Did that catch you off guard?
Yeah, but I also really don't like him. He's gross and weird.
I do like, though, that this introduced to us the concept that we have to realize that the way we think about an upper six demon or any of the Kizuki isn't just straightforward one demon equals one spot. I do like the way that it kind of introduced to us that things could be a little more complicated or a little bit more complex than that. So who knows what the upper 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 are going to hold for us.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept with the whole parasitic twin thing.
Yeah.
It's not used a whole lot, but it's really cool.
So how do you think the idea of Gyutaro and Daki being a brother-sister pair and Nezuko and Tanjiro being a brother-sister pair, how do you think those reflect against each other? Do you think that was intentional symmetry by Gotoge when they did this?
It was definitely intentional symmetry. They kind of grew up with similar-ish circumstances. They were both poor, both hungry, but each brother had a different way of supporting their sister. And that shows you kind of the two paths that Tanjiro could have gone down.
Yeah, it like the opposite paths. We look at Gyutaro wants to protect his sister by making her a demon, whereas Tanjiro wants to protect his sister by curing her of being a demon. So they kind of have same goal, different pathways, or different ways of achieving what they think is the same goal.
And you can see that they both care about their sister. They just went about it in different ways. And I think that's even touched on in the actual anime.
Now, when we meet this brother, this Gyutaro, we find out that his weapon of choice are blood sickles. And to me, blood sickles sound kind of like a summer treat for a vampire.
I know, it sounds like a weird...
popsicle made out of blood.
Ew.
Pretty gross, isn't it?
Ugh.
That's why nobody likes vampire summer parties. What do you think about his fighting style and everything? I mean, he looks so creepy, almost like a zombie, and then the sickles, there's something really primitive and base and scary about those too.
And also, the way that he's, like, all twisted, it makes him look like a Ninjago character when he's spinning.
I never thought Ninjago for a minute. I gotta admit that. I never thought about Ninjago.
It's because they look like that weird tornado thing, kind of like a mix with a Beyblade.
And I also think it's interesting when we see the two that they're sort of like a Jekyll and Hyde or like a split. Like they took one entity and split it into two parts because Daki is obsessed with beauty and she only wants to capture the beautiful people. Gyutaro, people are referring to him as ugly. Daki in particular is always referring to him as ugly. He is not necessarily as aesthetically pleasing to look at as she is. I mean, subjectively either. So what do you think about that whole kind of dichotomy between that brother-sister pair?
It's interesting, but also, like, what I'm... this is gonna be dumb, but, like, anytime in anime they're like, ew, that person's ugly, I guess it's just the style that it's drawn is they're not really ugly.
Yeah. They don't make a whole lot of ugly anime characters.
No, like, it's really hard to draw in an anime style and make somebody ugly.
I know, like, when we were watching Jujutsu Kaisen and some of the people in Tokyo were saying that Nobara is ugly, and I was like, she looks like a regular person.
I know.
Yes.
And then, like, the pretty person looks just like her. Like, what?
Now, I do have to say, when it comes to Uzui, I really liked his nunchuck knives. Like, the blades, they were like almost swords, but then they had the chain between them so he could swing them around, and there's a point where he's like holding the blade in his fingertips, and he swings it so he gets the full extension to try and cut the throat of Gyutaro. I think those are some of my favorite weapons so far on Demon Slayer.
They're really cool. I like them.
Do you think I should get some? Like, do you think I would be an expert with those, or would I hurt myself?
You would hurt everybody in this house.
So you don't want me to get really sharp sword nunchucks?
No.
And do like...
You can get those fake foam ones with the plastic.
No, I want real blades.
No.
And then when we have a cookout and Mom needs me to cut vegetables...
You will cut your hair off in face.
But we find out the key to fighting two demons that function as one, which is this is a great defensive feature to have. But when you're fighting two demons that function as one, the key to victory is simultaneous decapitation. And to me, that really sounds a lot like a video game strategy that means you have to have cooperative play. But that is the key, and I really like that. How did you feel about that concept? Because it definitely made the fight last way longer than it would have if they could have done it one at a time.
I thought it was really cool, and it's also the way that the brother and sister use it to their advantage is they'll have one person distracting the other,
Yes.
so that you can't cut off any heads, even if you try to do it one at a time.
Well, they cut her head off like 3 or 4 times.
Well, I know that, but still.
But yes, it's the idea of getting both off at the same time that gets tricky. And there's also this creepy, cool moment when the brother gives Daki a third eye that opens up in her forehead and it gives her more vision. And it's kind of like he thinks he's so tough, he only needs one eye to fight so she can have the third one so she's harder to sneak up on. And I like body horror stuff and I really like creepy stuff with eyes. So I really enjoyed that third eye popping up in her forehead.
I thought it was kind of cool. It also made Gyutaro look super arrogant, though.
It did, but it also came back to get him in the end because they don't win the fight. You know, spoilers here. But a real key moment, another big moment in Tanjiro's development as a demon slayer and as a character and as a person and as a brother is when he learns to combine the water breathing technique along with the Hinokami Kagura, and he's using fire and water at the same time. And that way he can get the bite and the power of the fire and the resistance and the durability of the fire, but the flexibility of the water, and he doesn't get as exhausted all at once. And this really reminds me of episode 19 in season 1 when the demon blood magic from Nezuko goes with his water breathing technique, and it's like it turns the spider webs on fire, like the water goes up in flames, and it was one of the most awesome scenes. And now it's kind of like he's doing that on his own. But they've kind of been teasing that from the beginning, that he's going to blend fire and water, like the opposites are going to work together, and that is what Tanjiro is. He is fire, he's strength, he's vicious, and he can defend those he cares about, and he can be deadly in a battle, but he's also water because he's very empathic and flexible, and he doesn't have any joy in hurting or harming people. And I really like it that he is that mix of fire and water that a true hero needs to be, I think is what Gotogay is saying here.
Yeah, I really think it's cool. And it also kind of comments on how when he fights, he is deadly, but
Yes.
after he kills them, he's sad, he's empathetic, because he understands where they're coming from.
And he always wants to like have a few kind words at the end of their life and everything. This show really does a pretty good job too of making the villain sympathetic. I think it's right up there with Attack on Titan of making you regret as soon as you start to cheer a victory. Although you are allowed to really enjoy your battles here a little bit more than Attack on Titan. So Inosuke got stabbed through the chest. He got stabbed through the heart. The most shocking moment of the entire Entertainment District arc for me was when my favorite character, I've made it no secret that Inosuke is my favorite character in Demon Slayer, and he gets stabbed through the chest. And this is stabbed for real. Like, there is no way that I see this being a fake out. What did you think when that happened? Were you shocked? Did your jaw drop and you believed in that moment Inosuke was dead and gone forever?
I almost cried.
Yeah, me too. I was doing a reaction video, so you got to go back and watch my reaction when that happened.
When I was watching the episodes, I was actually I was building a Lego set at the same time.
Yeah.
And so as soon as this happened, I just kind of stopped. I was like, oh my god.
You're gonna have to go see my reaction. I couldn't handle it, but did you really think in that moment he was dead? Because I did.
I kind of did, because I've seen too many animes, and I've been reading Chainsaw Man lately, so I know the authors can do whatever they want.
But they did give us a clue when he was able to shift all his organs around to be that little worm thing and climb through those holes. Apparently, he shifted his heart into his armpit or something.
That's
so he's
so weird.
He's able to survive that stabbing. And I was happy that he survived, but you only get to do that once. Like, the whole story, that's the kind of thing you only get to do once. You do it more than once, then suddenly nothing has stakes, and you're going to lose your audience, right?
I'm not going to lie. I don't understand how this body manipulation has anything to do with his weird nature breathing.
Well, I grew up in the woods, so I'm going to start trying to do that stuff.
You'll break something.
Uzui gets his hand chopped off. He gets his eye cut off. He gets really, really injured and harmed a lot in this big final battle with Gyutaro. But they do have some awesome moments where he's doing total concentration sound barrage technique against this blood sickle. Yeah. And it's just my eyes can't keep up with just the circles and spheres of action blasting off of each other. I loved it. I was really pulled into it.
And you can tell by how hard Uzui's fighting that he actually cares about his wives a lot.
Yes. And actually cares about Tanjiro and Zenitsu and Inosuke too. But I don't know if he cares about the muscle mice or not.
I think he does.
The muscle mice are safe.
I
at
care
this
about
point.
the muscle mice.
But they do succeed in decapitating both of them at once. And Gitaro just lets off this blast of blood sickle energy, demon blood magic, that levels the whole entertainment district. And everything just gets destroyed. Fortunately, they had managed to evacuate all the people when the fight got started. They told all the madams at the houses to get everybody out of there. But I don't know. Do you think they ever rebuilt the entertainment district? Have you been to Tokyo? Is it there, or is it just this big hole in the ground?
Well, seeing
this
as
true
I haven't
story?
been to Tokyo, I think this might have happened.
Yeah.
Was this in Tokyo?
I don't know the entertainment district.
I don't know where that
I don't
is.
know either. I just assumed Tokyo because it looked like a big city. What do I know? But we do find that Nezuko has yet another power. She can use her demon blood magic to burn away poison, or at least demon poison, the demon blood poison.
Well, I guess since it's like part of him, like part of his blood, then I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's
Because
cool.
she really helps out Inosuke there. And Inosuke, he's going to be her friend from now on, right?
Yeah.
Now, we do get the backstory on the upper six, and I do like the idea this guy is just like this street urchin. He's just this kid that nobody wants. There's too many kids to feed in this town. Everybody's poor. He's just living on the street, and to make up for it, he just gets to be real tough. And he gets a job like collecting, because he's mean. Like, he's not really all that big, but because he's mean, he gets a job collecting debts and stuff. But then when his sister's born, she's beautiful, and it gives him a new joy in life, and he wants to protect her. But then we get this whole thing where a samurai burns his sister, and that's how he ends up making the deal to become a demon, for him and his sister to be the upper six.
I really, really like the backstories of all the demons.
I'm yet to find one I don't like, and I
I
can't
know.
wait till we get Muzan's full backstory,
Oh
because
my
I bet
gosh,
it's going to be
yeah,
great.
he's so interesting.
I mean, it's got to be for the very end, but it's going to have us in tears or something. So just overall, what are your thoughts on the setting for this arc? Like, they had to change the name from Red Light District to Entertainment District, because Red Light District is a little more closely associated with sex work.
Oh, I mean, that's what it is.
I know, but so when they changed the name, I wondered if they were going to change the setting, but they didn't. So I don't know. They could have kept the name the same, I think.
I thought it was really cool. It's really interesting. If you think about it, you would probably find a demon in somewhere like that.
And
you
it,
know?
it did a really good job of humanizing the workers. It did a good job of humanizing the whole part of town and the society, and giving us a kind of a look at a different time and a different place, and something, I wasn't expecting to see in Demon Slayer, because it's been one of the more wholesome animes so far.
I thought it was really cool. I really liked it, and it was super pretty too. I loved all the different outfits everybody was wearing.
Oh boy, they did have some really cool outfits, and some of the ones that Daki would have when she was fighting, and the way it would like change as she was in the air.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. How did the battles in this arc rank?
They're pretty. It was like a Dragon Ball Z one battle for 10 million episodes, but I liked it.
I'm gonna say I liked it. I'm gonna get hate. I liked it better. I like the battle sequence and the battles between Tengen Uzui with Tanjiro and Gitaro and all the swirls and circles. I liked it better than the big Mugen Train battle that everybody says is like the greatest ever.
Ooh.
So I'm going to get hate for that. But, it's just a matter of taste. Also, there's recency bias. I saw this one more recently. Give it some time. Maybe I go back and I change my mind. It didn't have any moments that were as beautiful, in my opinion, visually beautiful as the big fight scene around episode 19 of season 1. So in my opinion, it lacked a little bit in the visual beauty, but the action and the stakes were just awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't rank the battles. I like them all a lot. I don't know.
That's the sport. They're not made to be ranked. They're made to be
Yeah.
enjoyed. That's really the better
really
way
like them.
to
I don't
approach
know.
it.
They all have something unique about each one, which I appreciate that it's not the same copy-paste fight over and over,
Now, which Hashira do you like better, Rengoku or Uzui?
That is tough.
It's not tough for me. I like Rengoku better. I just think he's a little more noble. He comes across to me as someone who I kind of identify as a more classical type hero.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to like Tengen better because he's the more roguish hero, and that's fine. I could totally get it. But for me, Rengoku kind of represents like the classical hero inside of my head, inside of my mind, and I probably relate to him a little bit more. Also, if you can let me use a pun, but his flame burned brighter because we only got Rengoku for a couple of hours, and we had Tengen stretched out over a few more episodes, so it was a little more intense relationship with Rengoku.
Yeah, I don't know. They both have their good things. And they both seem to help out Tanjiro pretty well.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like though, we got to see more of Tengen, and maybe I think I'm kind of leaning towards him.
Because you got to know him better.
Yeah,
and
we got to
I
know
like
him better.
the more mystery, less history kind of turn on
I don't know.
things.
I'm just when I watch like animes or just anything, any media I consume, I really am into all the lore exposition stuff.
Well, the next arc is the Swordsmith Village arc. I don't really have any idea what that one's about. I don't have any idea when the anime is going to land, but when it hits, I'm sure we're going to watch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Watch it, react to it, review it, talk about it. So I'm looking forward to it. Have you heard anything about the
Nope.
Swordsmith Village arc? So I'm looking forward to it. And, until next time, I just want to say I'm proud of you for watching anime, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Bye.
I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who supports the channel on Patreon. It really means a lot to me. If you might be interested in Patreon perks like early access to videos, uncut reaction videos, ad-free videos, and the opportunity to vote on which anime will be covered in the future, then click on the link in the video description. Thank you.